The Book of Jonah is one of the most unique and compelling stories in the Bible. Unlike other prophetic books, Jonah is written as a narrative, telling the story of a prophet who is reluctant to obey God's command. Though brief, it carries deep spiritual lessons about mercy, obedience, repentance, and the vastness of God's compassion not only for Israel but for all nations. Jonah lived during a turbulent period of Israel's history, likely in the 8th century BC. The story begins with God's command to Jonah. Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me. Nineveh was the capital of Assyria, a powerful empire known for its brutality and oppression. The people of Israel viewed Assyria as an enemy, so this command was unusual and challenging. Rather than obeying, Jonah fled. He boarded a ship headed for Tarshish, attempting to escape God's presence. This flight is significant because it shows that you cannot run from God. The Bible tells us that the Lord hurled a great wind on the sea, and such a violent storm threatened to break the ship apart. The storm is God's way of reminding Jonah that his will cannot be avoided. The sailors, terrified by the storm, cast lots to find out who is responsible, and the lot falls on Jonah. He admits his disobedience and tells them to throw him into the sea to calm the storm. Reluctantly, the sailors obey, and the sea becomes calm. This moment reveals Jonah's recognition of God's power and justice, even as he is being punished for his rebellion. Then comes one of the most famous parts of the story. Jonah is swallowed by a great fish or whale, where he spends 3 days and 3 nights. This event is rich with symbolism. Jonah's time inside the fish represents a period of reflection, repentance, and spiritual renewal. He prays a heartfelt prayer of thanksgiving and deliverance from the depths of despair, which is recorded in Jonah 2. Jonah's prayer shows his transformation. He acknowledges God's salvation and commits to fulfilling his mission. God commands the fish to spit Jonah out onto dry land, giving him a second chance. Jonah then obeys and goes to Nineveh. His message is simple but powerful. 40 more days and Nineveh will be overthrown. Despite Jonah's reluctance, the people of Nineveh respond with immediate repentance. The king himself rises from his throne, removes his royal robes, covers himself with sackcloth, and sits in a shiza, biblical sign of humility and repentance. The entire city, from the greatest to the least, fasts and calls out to God for mercy. This collective repentance moves God to relent from the destruction he had planned. This shows that God's desire is not to punish, but to restore those who turn from their wicked ways. However, Jonah's response is surprising. Instead of rejoicing, he is angry and disappointed. He wanted Nineveh to be punished, not forgiven. Jonah's anger reveals a struggle with God, as mercy extended even to Israel as enemies. God then teaches Jonah a profound lesson using a plant. God causes a plant to grow and provide Jonah shade, but the next day, he sends a worm to wither it. Jonah mourns the loss of the plant, but God points out Jonah's misplaced compassion. Jonah cares for a plant that he did not labor for, yet he is angry about God's mercy on a great city of people who do not know their right hand from their left. This dialogue challenges us to reflect on our own attitudes towards others, especially those we might consider enemies or outsiders. It reminds us that God's compassion knows no boundaries, and his desire is for all people to be saved. The Book of Jonah teaches us several vital lessons. You cannot run from God no matter how far we try to flee from God's call or presence. He pursues us with love and purpose. God's mercy is wide and inclusive. He is ready to forgive anyone who repents, regardless of their nationality or past sins. True repentance leads to transformation. The people of Nineveh changed their ways, showing that sincere repentance can avert judgment. Obedience to God's call is essential. Jonah's story reminds us of the importance of responding faithfully to God's direction. God challenges our prejudices and narrow views. Jonah struggled with God's mercy towards his enemies, and we too must confront our attitudes towards others. In summary, the Book of Jonah is more than a story about a prophet and a big fish. It is a powerful message about God's heart for justice, mercy, and restoration. It invites us to trust God's plan, embrace his mercy, and extend that mercy to others.